Greetings and salutations, and welcome once again to the Capeless Crusaders live at the time from the Safe House. My name is David Barry at Dr. Barry on varying social media platforms. I am joined via secure comlink. Let's go with, let's say it's secure. I am joined by none other than my comrade in arms for the evening is...
This is Curtis Fisher at Calm Down Warning at Existential Romeo, and that's where I am.
Yeah, it's secure. It's secure enough. We already have people are already in the chat room. This is a wonderful thing. Drew in the TARDIS, what up, man? So tonight, this is a very special episode of the Capeless Crusaders. It is the Infinity Bootcamp, and when we say Infinity, we're talking Infinity War. We're talking Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, I don't know if we want to go into Infinity Crusade, but we could do that too. We could
do that a little bit.
We could go Infinity Watch. We could just go Infinity.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
It's weird how much
Thanos
stuff.
Quest.
Thanos Quest, if we want to go that route. So pretty much, here's what it comes down to. We are your number one source for anything comic book related, allegedly. We have a website down at the bottom. It is thecapelesscrusaders.com, where you can find anything related to the Crusaders, our social media, our articles, all our videos. Tonight, what we are going to talk about is, like I said, it is the Infinity Bootcamp. So we want to talk about the comic books that are inspiring the movie, because once you see the movie, if you've read the comics, you're going to realize that there were multiple books that came into play when it came to this movie. Like we already know that a comic book movie can never be 100% true to the comics, because comics the arcs last for months at a time. There is no CGI budget for a comic book, so a movie can only do so much. But they so far, after 10 years, they've been doing great. But we're here to discuss specifically the Infinity books that inspired the movie. Now, Curtis, you are, dare I say, an expert on the Infinity everything.
I think you just dared. Yeah, I think you did that.
Now, I mean, so I know the Infinity books. Anything cosmic is your bag. I mean, like,
yeah, that's my favorite part of the Marvel.
It always, like, there are people that are in, like, Steve's is into the spy stories. He's into like the realistic, gritty stuff, the crime noir. Which, I mean, we all love all of them, but outer space, like deep space, cosmic entities, that is all you. So first off, where does that come from? What is it that inspires you to love that so much?
I think majority of it is just the unknown. I think the unknown for some scares them off, and the unknown for others kind of draws them in.
Yeah, it's
terrifying.
And
we might all have like our own play. Yeah, it's terrifying, right? As they say, we have a tendency to fear what we don't understand, but you got some. Some call them brave, some call them crazy fools that, oh, that's uncertain. Oh, that's unknown.
Yeah.
Almost like, what was it? Rob Liefeld, when he was talking on the, the little sci-fi thing about Image. He was like, I was the first guinea pig. Throw me on the cooker. You got, some of us are like that. I guess when it comes to cosmic things, I'm Rob Liefeld. I can't draw feet.
You can't draw feet, but you're a lovely personality.
Yeah, I'm a lovely personality.
I have come in the last, especially year, to lose a lot of my negative feelings towards Rob Liefeld. I mean, the man is phenomenal in so many ways.
Yeah. He still can't draw feet, but
no, he can't draw feet. But he now he just steers into it. Now he just deals with it.
He accepts it.
So were you a fan? What do you call it, of the cosmic stuff when you were younger reading comics, or was this a more late game thing that got you into the cosmic feels?
I mean, I've always liked cosmic stuff. I've always liked space ever since I was a kid. I was always interested in NASA and and science, and anytime they once they started talking about stars and constellations and all that stuff, like I was always pretty interested in that. But now, as far as like specifically around the Marvel stuff, no, it was really within the last I'd say the last probably 2 years that I got really, really into the like where I realized, hey, I like the cosmic side of things, and I
Yeah.
really started uh to look into the cosmic side of stuff.
So I think as a kid, I always loved the Silver Surfer, but I didn't like associate the Silver Surfer with outer space when he was at the core of a ton of the cosmic stuff that was coming out in the 80s and 90s. I mean, the Jim Starlin and Ron Lim, like a lot of their stuff they did with Thanos and eventually Infinity Gauntlet, like it came out of starting with Galactus and the Silver Surfer and going into the depths of the unknown and learning about eternity and order and chaos and all these mystical beings out there. Um so right out the gate, Infinity War coming out. How many days is it? We're close.
Shoot, Thursday, so five
Thursday.
days.
5 days, 7 p.m. I'll be there. So, in your experience, from everything you've read and the previews that we've seen, what do you think? What book is being drawn on the heaviest? Like, do you feel like there's one where you're like, you know what, that looks almost like a panel I saw here. That looks like this. Is there one that's kind of like sticking in your head?
For the most part, like it seems that they're primarily taking from Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos Quest, and then Infinity by Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah.
I mean, from what we've seen, from what everybody's talking about, that's it. Will excuse me, the Thanos Quest part was literally from some of the interviews that have been going around with the Russo brothers, where they were kind of the first ones to bring up Thanos Quest, and how this movie is from the perspective of Thanos, and
Right.
this is his journey on how he collects the stones to erect the Infinity Gauntlet, to have the supreme power, or literally as it said in the panel of Infinity Gauntlet, I think it was issue 6, God, he is going to be in control of every element of what we know reality to be.
Right. I and it's interesting because it seems like they're definitely drawn heavy on the Infinity comic done by Hickman, but the Infinity comic done by Hickman has nothing to do with the Infinity Stones. Because in that at that
Yeah,
point in the comic universe, the one had disappeared and the other five were destroyed.
right.
When they had used the gauntlet to stop the incursions that were occurring. So it's really interesting that they're like, hey, we're gonna draw heavy from this, but the main theme, nothing to do
Mhm.
with nothing to do with them. But
Yeah. Which
it's
is a very interesting itself, because it's like like same thing, I was like, okay, like how interesting, when Hickman's up to bat, it's just called Infinity.
right.
And yeah, when we think about, Infinity, we think about Infinity Gauntlet, primarily,
Yeah.
with like there were so many other Infinity books that, kind of didn't move the needle,
Right.
Infinity Entity, and Thanos Infinity Finale,
I mean,
Infinity Identity,
wait. You weren't all about Warlocks, the female Adam Warlock, who is just like, wait, now we have another person.
the
Okay,
goddess.
okay,
Um,
fair enough.
I mean, with all those, but interesting, but funny enough, like really the reoccurring theme, one of the main ties is Thanos. Like
Yeah,
he always comes into play with that. But really, it funny, it comes really back into like a conflict for a larger conflict, and really the through line is usually, as we know, Adam Warlock, or Adam Warlock and Thanos, and a lot of it is their relationship, where they started off as, I mean, not that they ever became friends, but their relationship, and how they always end up together, circumstance,
right.
from one reason or another because of the circumstances. That tends to be more of what it is. And it's funny, like we have these plot devices like infinity stones or gems or soul gems, whatever
Right.
they're called, whenever they need to change the name. We got cosmic cubes, and cosmic cubes from different universes, but there's all plot devices really for you know infinity being challenged, what we know to be forward.
Right.
These moments in life, we live for the next moment, as they say. Well, there's an infinite number of the next moment, but if we don't deal with this conflict, infinity comes for an end. There is no tomorrow. So I think that's really the reoccurring theme. And
Right.
if you want to talk about doom and gloom, Jonathan Hickman can walk you through some of
Yeah, man.
that.
Well, he's the one that's literally gonna tell you a story that is half about Earth, but really the other half is about this massive fleet of ancient beings coming through space, barreling towards Earth, and they're going to destroy the universe as we know it because of all these incursions we've caused. And it's like, wait, what does that have to do with Thanos? What is he? But it's still an amazing story, but it's also a really good plot device to be like, hey, almost all the Avengers are not on the planet, which I thought was just a beautiful thing to do. So let's go back to the start, to the beginning of the Infinity Gem story. So you mentioned it. I completely It blew my mind. I don't know why it blew my mind, but it blew my mind when I first opened up Thanos Quest and they're like soul gems. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what? What
What?
how yeah, are these the soul gems? It's like, no, they were at one point called soul gems, and then Thanos is like, well, I'm going to rename them because it's better for the story, because everyone had these soul gems that they were using. So 6 gems throughout the universe. um we even mentioned this off camera. The fact that they were able to tell such a great story in 6 issues, or in 2 issues.
Mhm.
um but you've got 6 gems, 2 issues, and it feels like no problem. Like, it didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like, oh, this is just wordy and over the top. Like, you got these different challenges and adventures that Thanos went on, which I really hope. Excuse me, I really hope we get to see in the movie, because in Thanos Quest, it's a great little book.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It is. I'm sorry. What were
no,
you
no,
about
no,
to say?
you're good. Yeah, that was it. It's a good book. Go.
It is a good book. Again, written by Jim Starlin, kind of the architect of, the Infinity Trinity, if that's what you want to call it. But yeah, he started off, with the Thanos Quest. I mean, really, it kind of started in that Silver Surfer run,
Right.
but yeah, okay, here goes Thanos. All right, I got to gather all the gems, and then from there we end up in Infinity Gauntlet. But Jim Starlin, he wrote Marvel's first graphic novel with the death of Captain Marvel,
Right. Right.
which Captain Marvel, Thanos was another significant villain. I don't know if I don't think he was as well. Maybe might have been his most formidable. I think at that time when in the death of Captain Marvel, spoilers, Captain Marvel dies.
What?
Spoiler alert. Oh yeah. Oh, did I ruin that for you? I'm
Oh,
so
wow,
sorry.
that is interesting.
But Jim Starlin wrote the first Marvel graphic novel. So, and that one, same thing. It was 2 volumes. He executed it perfectly. The
Right.
pacing was proper and everything. So when it came time around for this one, I think it not being his first rodeo, and him looking, I've watched him. He's critical about himself in the right ways. Really, literally just self improvement. So I know he saw whatever he thought he could do better and just made Thanos Quest, just from each journey, from each gym before he even starts. How it talks about what the quest is going to be.
Yeah.
Him standing at the Infinity Well. And then he gets it. He's there with death. He moves on. He goes to the first. I actually forget who was first along the line, but every section it wasn't too wordy.
Right.
And what's funny, the reoccurring theme is all these people had gems and they all had power, but at the same time they all fell.
Right.
And the recurring theme, I think it's a play. Starlin, he is one of those people that, I mean, a lot of people do, but his messages are, I think, pretty apparent. And that one, I think it was, you know, the illusion of power, and
Right.
how the illusion of power thinks we, make some believe that they are immune to
Yeah.
consequences.
Exactly. No, because every single one of them, they hadn't tapped into the full potential because they
Mm.
thought they knew what it was. They thought,
Yeah, they thought they
oh,
had enough power.
exactly. They thought this gem just half of them just wore it as a trinket, a talisman that
Mhm.
didn't actually serve a purpose. But
Yeah.
every time, that's how Thanos usually tricked them, was you didn't realize what this gem could do, because it started with the in betweener. because In Betweener was trapped by Lord Chaos and Order, and he basically he again he fools him. He fools his confidence, but he also tricks him into thinking that he can use his power in their realm, and he know that he can't. Um, but yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because it's like Starlin did what a lot of writers have a hard time doing, where he retconned in the story. You know, like he made changes as he was going, and you didn't feel like they were poorly executed. You know, like it he took renaming the gems, and it was just like, oh, because he was looking in the Infinity Well, and one of them is the Soul Gem, and these guys just didn't know what they were, so we'll call them Infinity Gems.
Yep.
Like in story retcon, and everyone's like, I like that. I like it.
Yeah, no, yeah, and everybody just rolls with it.
Yeah.
I think it's his style of writing. He has a very like kind of low, no stress, kind of go with it. He doesn't. He's very gentle,
Hmm.
like with his stories, like as big as they are. It's funny, like he serves them up to you in a way where it doesn't smack you in the face, and you're like, oh man, wait, no, that's such a brash change.
Right.
Everything's very fluid,
Yeah.
very fluid.
And I think no one was missing the Thanos copter back when Thanos flew a helicopter in the 70s before all this
Oh,
happened.
dude, they would have sold another 500,000 copies had they only had
I
the
think
Thanos copy.
part of it is the way that they killed him and they brought him back, and they were again, that was just a retcon they were able to do. Like he was serving death before that because he was killing
Hmm.
people, but now
Right.
like no, now his sole purpose for existing is because death brought him back and gave him this job. And now it's like, all right, now we have basically rewritten the character. Like his origin is the same, but he's got a new origin. That's the rebirth, that's the parents being gunned down in the alleyway. That's Krypton exploding, that's World War II for Cap. Like that's the thing that makes him do what he wants to do, and it is so seamless the way he takes that, and he's just like turns this character who was a pretty bad guy, but makes him into a monster. Like a
Yeah.
cosmic monster who has ultimate power and the courtship of death as his goal, and he honestly he fooled me a couple times. He kind of faked me out. I was at one point, I'm like, wait, that's not Thanos's, like, what he's going for. Like that's not his end goal. But even the way he had fooled the characters in the book into being like, yeah, you just want power and you're going to turn on death. I was like, yeah, no, what? Wait, like it confused me. And I'm like, how is a book written 28 years ago? How is it catching me off guard this well? I was pleasantly surprised by how different and how just brilliant Starlin, what his writing was in this story. Like, and the artwork lended itself well. Of course, local legend Ron Lim penciling that thing up, and it was the way he drew some of the scenes, like when Thanos warped reality, or like when he got all the gems together and it showed
Oh yeah.
his face every time what it could do. That was like,
Yeah, it was all distorted and
yeah,
contorted.
when it split him
Yeah.
open and he's like cracked open and you
Oh,
see
that
all
was
the
one of my
versions.
faves.
I wish
Yeah.
I wanted to screenshot just that whole thing and get it as a poster. It's just Ron Lim was out the gate just having this reality bending style that was just perfect
Mhm.
for that story. Um,
Full of too.
yeah, and I think,
And, like, the Doctor Strange stuff and whatnot.
yeah, oh man, Doctor Strange is, and then you've got So Thanos Quest follows Thanos going on his quest to get all 6 Infinity Stones, and he does it in some screwed up ways. The way he kills and takes advantage of the people that he gets to. I think the worst one, in my opinion, was the gardener, because the gardener, dude, the gardener was just this guy who wanted power so he could tend this perfect garden. He just wanted to build
Yeah.
this garden, and he didn't want to hurt anybody. He just wanted to have this beautiful garden. And Thanos comes and he's like, "Man, you got a really nice garden. You know why I'm here, though? Like, I'm gonna come for that stone." And he's like, "Yeah, well, all right. Well, I'm gonna have to fight you. I know I'm probably gonna lose, but I need to protect my garden." And then it just goes into like this monologue where Thanos is talking about his quests and what he's gonna do and the stones. and then you come to realize that he has already used his Power Stone to take the
Yeah,
Time Stone.
to
Oh, and then just the vines like spill because the gardener was all about
doing his
plants.
eyes
Through
and
his
stuff.
eyes and his
Yeah.
mouth, he's killed by all of his plants because his whole thing was he was using the time gem to grow these plants faster or slower and then stop them at their perfect point, which he didn't realize. He didn't know it was time that he was affecting. He thought he was just gardening really well because of his gem, and Thanos uses it to cause all these vines, like Swamp Thing style, to come out through his nose and his eyes and his mouth. And he's like, "But you're not listening anymore." And then he turns to him and he's just dead. And you're like, "Oh, okay." So
All right, that was yep. He's the I know it, and it's crazy how like yeah we start to follow Thanos down that monologue and whatnot, and we follow him on, and then literally it's almost like the camera pulls out and we see the whole scene, and yeah, the gardener's there, and he's just like overtaken by. I mean, again, the very thing that he wanted. He wanted a garden. Now,
right,
even having the type of power is required to tend to the type of garden he had
yeah,
is immense power. And again, that power ultimately ended up being his downfall. Again, even a kind of a reoccurring theme like the power that you seek can
right,
ultimately be the power that does you in.
yeah.
Um,
Even if you're just trying to make a garden,
even if you're just trying to make a garden,
you know, like
like it's crazy.
because there were other people like the champion he was using the power gem and he was using it to fight people and to kill people.
Yeah, just to go around on a quest and just whoop people's butts, basically. Yeah,
Exactly. So it's like, okay, like yeah, you see him losing it, and then the runner who was just running
that was my favorite.
without even realizing that he was actually
Mhm.
teleporting.
Right,
And of course the collector and the grandmaster, because why wouldn't they have stones and
right.
be, doing terrible things either, or just staring at them the way the collector did, because he's just like, it's a beautiful bauble. And he's like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, no, dude, you have the reality gem here. Let me warp your mind real fast.
Right. It's there's so much more to I think, and that was my favorite one, the runner. Just
Yeah,
like how, yeah, he didn't realize that he was teleporting again. Thanos, a little bit of knowledge goes a long way. Brains over brawn.
right.
Thanos outsmarted him in that one. Used the time stone, made him super old. Used it again, made him a baby,
Yeah.
and actually and then took the baby back to the collector and traded the collector the runner as a baby. And since he was a hold on, wait. Now let me think. The runner is an elder, right?
Right.
He's not a celestial. I believe he's an elder. May traded him a baby elder, and of course the collector, not being able to resist that shiny rare thing, took it, and then Thanos traded him for the stone, and then did the collector in right after.
Exactly. So thoughts about, if anything from the Thanos quest. Do you think any of it's going to make it into the movie?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, we've already seen, and again, I'm the type of person I take trailers with a grain of salt
Of
because
course.
A, they put stuff in the trailers that don't even end up in the movie.
Right.
B, they put stuff in trailers that end up in the movie, but it's edited different, like all
Right.
the stuff from Thor when all the Odin stuff was supposed to happen in New York in
Just a
the
different green
alley.
screen.
Yeah, different green, and that's the beauty of green screen. Oh,
Right.
hey, I need to change this scene. Well, no problem. Well, this green screen.
Yeah.
But how they changed all that to be, dealing with Odin in Norway. It's kind of a similar thing here. But what we did see the collector, so we
Mhm.
know the collector is, or should be in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that completely take that one out. He was in distress. He was on the ground. He was not in a good position. So I think we know that they go there. He has the ether, which I believe they said is the power stone
Right.
in this one. So he's going to be in it. The Grand Master, I believe if the Grand Master isn't in this one, he might be in the next, but he doesn't have a stone. So
Right.
the Grand Master, I mean, I guess there's no reason to visit him. I think part of I think they're gonna because what they usually do is they'll take something that's like or close enough and they'll swap it out, with something that has been introduced in the
Right.
movie. So I'm interested to see where Xandar comes in on all this because they have the oh no, the Aether is I think is the Reality Stone. They have the Power Stone,
Yes. Yeah.
which is
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, because the Aether being the reality sword, because the Dark Elves were going to use it to change all of reality to darkness, and then the
yes.
Power Stone is what Ronan was using, and if you touch, the planet, it would destroy it because it's all this power.
Right, right. Totally wipe it out. So I think we're gonna see we see the purple gem,
Hmm.
the power stone in there. So I think I mean we know Xandar's gonna get ran through.
Right.
Um, the collector, he's gonna get ran through.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna show them collecting those ones, and then the other one. I mean, obviously Loki has the Tesseract,
Hmm.
so I don't. I'm curious to see who they put in place of or like who Loki signifies from Thanos Quest.
Right.
Um, I think at this point the Soul Stone it is either really within the Great Mound, in the center of that Wakandan asteroid that hit the area, or Thanos already has it.
Okay.
Because one thing I will say, Thanos knows, and he's wise and he's smart. He's one of the most enlightened beings in the world. It just so happens that what his goal is, the act of his goal, the intent behind it is, some would say in the right place, but how he achieves that, the
Right.
means
Right.
are what
Cosmic balance by murdering half the people in the
cosmic balance,
universe.
right? By just cosmic balance by murder.
Yeah.
I don't know Thanos, but uh, I don't see. He gave Loki the Mind Stone
Right.
within the scepter, which I believe is Corvus Glaive's glaive or blade, whatever
Okay.
you want to
Okay.
call it. Yeah, I believe it. Well, because that was Corvus Glaive. That was, I mean, essentially that was Corvus Glaive that was in those scenes with Loki in the first Avengers. They
Right.
just, I think they hadn't found out that they were figured out that they were going to use the Black Order yet. But Ronan snapped that dude's neck, and it literally looks just like Corvus Glaive's blade if you kind of look at
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
looks like the thing. If you watch the trailers, the thing that's in Vision's head, that looks like the scepter.
Right.
So I think that's it. But I don't see why would Thanos give Loki, who we all know he doesn't trust, why would he give him the Mind Stone in order to go get the Tesseract, which
Right.
would give him two stones, and he doesn't even have one stone to himself to defend
So
himself?
I was thinking about that. I think you said he's smart. I think he knew that in order to draw out the other stones, he basically,
Hmm.
if you want to make money, you got to spend money. He knew he had to distribute his stones that he had,
Hmm.
and he knew that that would dig up the other ones. You know,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
so
Absolutely.
I think he knew that something was going to come around, and Loki was going to have to beg for his life and give him the Tesseract because Tesseract because when he grabs it in Ragnarok,
Hmm.
he's like if he survives this, life's good for him. Why would he do it either the whole time that's been his end game to get it back to Thanos, or he's like, hey, the universe is changing. I might lose my protection. I'm gonna grab this so I can give it to Thanos in a pinch if he finds me. So it's like is Thanos, does he know how Loki is going to double cross and then double cross? Like, does he see all the double crosses? So he's like, he's going to do this, then this, then this, then give me the cube. So it's kind of like he
Absolutely.
distributes all of these gems because he knows it's going to dig up the other ones. But I'm with you. The soul gem, that's the interesting one. Because in the comic, of course, that's he gets that from the in-betweener, and that's not a character that you're going to bring into the movies because it's like, hey, we're going to have this guy. He's literally half black, half white. He wears a gi. He serves these two floating heads. One's golden, one's purple. Like they're not going to go. That's weird.
Not yet.
Nah, not yet. Not yet. So the in-betweener had the soul gem in the comics. So the soul gem it could be anywhere. But I also find it interesting because the Grandmaster and the Collector in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're just dudes who have acquired power, who have consolidated power.
Right.
They are not elder beings. Like they're ancient. They mention that, but it's not because they're not at the table making the decisions with eternity and with order and chaos. Like they're just two dudes who one guy had a lot of money and buys and sells and gets his collection, and the Grandmaster has all these gladiatorial battles. So it's like neither of them are like these powerful cosmic beings. So it's kind of like they're not going to be that challenge to Thanos where he has to have that battle of wits or that contest with the Grandmaster. If they did have stones, he's just going to bowl through them with his army and the Black Order, and which is kind of it's an interesting thing to think about because in the comics, just the way Thanos was on this mission to gain this cosmic power, it's like here, what is the source of the power in the Thanos in the movies? You know, like is he just super powerful? Because because he's saying he serves death, like he, you know, the line from the dude with all the fingers in Avengers when he's like to challenge them is to court death, and Thanos turns
Oh
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
smiles. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, that's just that's a joke, that's a hint, because we don't actually think death, like as a hooded woman who switches back and forth between a beautiful person and a skeleton, is actually pulling the strings. He's just got this weird mission for cosmic balance that he's apparently possibly given himself. You know, so it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how what you know what they make the motivation in the movies to be, what it has grown into in the I mean, even just in the short time where like Thanos first got resurrected, and it was because of death, and then he basically felt indebted, and at the same time, like especially um there's a tie-in to an Infinity War.
Mhm.
I think it was in the Wolverine book, Wolverine 110,
Okay.
and it's like within the midst of like everything going on in Infinity War, like Thanos is fighting himself
Mhm.
basically at this point, and like he has like this almost like a daydream, but it really did happen. Like death kind of came and kind of took him away for a second and like kind of had a conversation with him, and like you realize that the reason why Thanos, it's crazy again in that twisted way. The reason why Thanos loves death so much is because Thanos' whole life is chaos.
Right.
It's like he even knows it. Like I'm telling, like he's an enlightened being.
Yeah.
When you read everything and just hear how he talks and everything, like Thanos, there's no illusions.
Yeah.
Thanos knows reality all too well. But as terrible as his reality has been, and he's accepted it, the only thing that's ever brought Thanos death is peace. I mean, peace is death.
Yeah.
Like that's why he loves death so much. Death is a comforter. He's like, and then being that death gave him life back,
Yeah.
and then he was like, hold on, wait. He basically met his love. He's like, hold on, wait, I love you. You took me away from all this stuff, so I finally had peace. But then you gave me life back. Well, with my life back, like I'm indebted to you. What else would I do but serve you?
Right.
So he's just like it's like he's this strange like love sprung guy, really just trying to give death its just due. You brought me back to life. I'm forever indebted. Infinity. I'm infinitely indebted.
Yeah.
And that's his whole thing with death.
Yeah.
Like from all, and it's this person who he loves death, but all the ways that he tries to prove to death how much he cares for death. Like one, it doesn't impress her, and two, like you're trying to show someone you love them, a person, death personified, but you have to kill all these people
Right.
that have the universe
Well,
to show it.
and especially it's interesting because he when he goes for when he tries to build the Infinity Gauntlet and carry out her task, he even
Mhm.
says basically it's because it would take me centuries to do it otherwise. And it's kind of like he wants the fastest way because he wants to get there, but it's not just that he wants to complete the mission for her, it's that he wants to be her equal. He wants to give her the universe. And then they
Yes.
even have that issue where her servant, she won't talk to him because she's above him, and then
Mhm.
once he gets the Infinity Gauntlet, she won't talk to him because now she's below him. She's a threat.
Below him.
She's a thread in the cosmic fabric that he is because he has the Infinity Gauntlet because he's so powerful and he's so
Right.
frustrated. He's like, I know I could make her talk to me. I could make her love me because he can
Right.
control reality, but he doesn't want to. He wants to earn it, and that
Because
it
that's not true love. That's not free will. She's not freely
exactly.
choosing.
And
And
then he
he
gets
and
so
he
frustrated.
doesn't have an illusion about that
Right.
too. He knows.
And then but when in the Infinity Gauntlet story, when he eventually is just like, fine, like you're not gonna be my love, I will create my perfect love, and
Draxia!
she's so bad, and it's not enough. Yeah, then he just creates this weird purple woman.
Bro, side note real quick. I swear that like the next Thanos story after the ones that they have coming out now,
Yeah.
the next one, I need them to like do like a Superboy Prime and bring Taraxia back. Like the next big villain needs to be like, whoa, who's this person like who like they're leaving all the trails of Thanos and all of Thanos's traits. Like,
Right.
but Thanos is right here. Like Thanos is locked up or they totally know where he is. Like he's obviously not doing this. And they go and they check around everything and they literally go down their Rolodex. Like I want them to make this very obvious that they have
Yeah.
no idea. And then finally she just comes in, she makes an interest and is like, everybody remember me? We're like, oh my god, we haven't seen Taraxia.
You're the one. You're the one who popped off Iron Man's head and then presented it to Thanos. I'd be down with that, dude. I'd be down with the Taraxia like one shot, or give it to one of those writers who's just doing these one offs in like the far future, and just do something crazy with her, like make her like Queen of the World or something. Like
have to
the Taraxia Quest. Just mark that. I want that,
bro.
I want that written.
Like anyway, and it's the same initials: Thanos Quest, Taraxia Quest. But it would be, I mean, I always love the trope of like going back and taking something that was very like comic book tropey, but then like making it like something like serious, like in a real threat, like in the modern day comics. She'd be the perfect because she was
100%.
such just a trope.
Yeah.
Oh my god, if they made her like legit now, it'd be crazy.
Yeah, it's like what DC tried to do with with Psycho Pirate.
Oh man,
they tried to make Psycho Pirate a serious villain. It didn't work, but you appreciate the effort of taking Psycho Pirate, DC, and bringing in Psycho Pirate. Taraxia could be Marvel's Psycho Pirate, but it could be done better.
Absolutely,
maybe.
Yeah, Psycho Pirate is like the in-betweener of the DC.
Exactly. It's like, all right, your name,
not cosmic and all emotional.
Yeah, your name and your abilities don't match, and neither does your outfit. But okay, you're Psycho Pirate. Sounds good. Marv Wolfman, we love you.
we love you. Thanks, Marv. We love you, Marv.
Okay, so flashing forward to Infinity. So Infinity, written by Jonathan Hickman. I recently I jumped back into it. I'm gonna be honest, probably the last great Marvel event, in my opinion. I have enjoyed Civil War 2. I enjoyed Secret Empire. They were good. They weren't great. Infinity was great. Like
did Secret Wars come out before? That came out before Infinity, huh?
No, Secret Wars was after.
Secret Wars after? How'd you feel about Secret Wars? I think I feel like Infinity is better than
you're Infinity. No, Secret Wars was fun. Secret Wars was fun and weird, and did some crazy stuff, like just with making Doom, this god and having all these powers, and they did some really interesting things. But I think Infinity overall was just a better story, because it literally it's two parts. It's this army, this fleet of the creators of basically like the harvesters of the universe is coming for Earth, and so the Avengers go out to fight them, and then Thanos with his Black Order is like, cool, Earth's got nobody, like let's go take it out. And it is interesting because there's panels straight out of the book that we've seen in the trailers. But we know it's not about the stones, because in Infinity it's about Thane. It's about his son. Which again, the whole Thanos being a monster, like when these planets offer tributes, it's all their children. He's just
I know, right?
God, he's messed up in every way. But yeah, so we've got Infinity, which focuses on, like you said, these two parts, and shot for shot, it looks like the battle for Wakanda is like right out of Infinity, minus the players involved. Doctor Strange,
but
and
the setting.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it seems like the events, like them trying to fight back basically against Thanos' army. The Ebony Maw and Doctor Strange, we've seen him being him torturing him in the previews, right out of the comics, where he's all Illuminati status. And at that point, I believe Doctor Strange is like, he's not a bad guy, but it's when he's like corrupted. Like he's the sorcerer
Yeah,
supreme.
he was like influenced
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
like almost under like someone else, Ebony Moss
Yeah,
spell.
kind of. Yeah, but it was like he was still doing good, but he was just he was like everyone in the Illuminati. They all were like at face value, they're heroes. You know, they're Mr.
Right,
Fantastic, they're Iron Man. But then,
right.
but once you know what they've done, everything you read is it's tainted. You know, their
And
words are
yeah,
tainted. You know, which
that's
was
kind of that was kind of like a oh, I'm sorry, what were you
no,
saying?
no, no. You're good. You're good.
No, that's kind of like a reoccurring theme, like throughout, and not just the trope of Hickman either. Like he was very intentional of like, again, like, hey, does the does you know do the me do the does the end justify the
Yeah, yeah.
means, basically, in that phase, like they have the intent and the goal is for things to be done good, but how you had to get there, the decisions that you had to make,
Right,
does it justify it?
right.
You're like, okay, I know why you did that, but man, like that's what you had to do.
Yeah,
Like that's something that like the enemy would normally be known for doing,
right.
or something of that sort.
It's true. They make like Thanos style decisions, but they question it as opposed to Thanos being like, "This is what I need to do. I need
Mhm.
to I need to build a bunch of bombs and blow up these planets as they come towards my planet." Like he's like, "It needs to be done. It needs to be done." But Black Panther and Mister Fantastic, they're both like they're questioning it. They know they have to do it, but they're not
Mhm.
happy that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Um, just like they weren't happy when they created the device that would blow it up when they got together with the Infinity Gauntlet to stop the incursions. Like they were making these hard decisions, like it's our planet or this planet, but we still
Yeah.
feel awful doing it.
About what we have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like we have to self-sabotage. We have to lose a little bit,
Yeah.
so like the world doesn't lose a lot. And
They
it's
have
kind of
to
like a lesser of the two evils type
yeah,
thing
they have to
almost.
sacrifice some of their humanity so that humanity survives. You know?
Right. Which is very interesting. That's what Cap, kind of, I was like rewatching Avengers the other night. The first, well, actually, I've rewatched both of them, Avengers 1 and 2, in preparation for
Yeah.
this week. Because if you didn't know, Infinity War is coming out on Thursday. So if you haven't
What?
gotten your tickets yet,
Let me see if there are any available. Probably not.
yeah, you check. You're probably not going to be any. You're going to be like in the booth with the projection person. But like a reoccurring thing, like Cap said that to Nick Fury. He walked in while he was punching on the heavy bag, and he was like, when I woke up, they told me that we won the war, but they
Right.
didn't tell me like
What we
what we
lost.
lost in the
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
It's true, and it's because that's exactly what they're doing here. They're destroying worlds. They're they're just not they're not doing the nice thing, but they're doing the thing that has to be done.
Right.
Um, and it's tough, and I hope I feel like it's going to come into play lightweight in the Infinity War movie, like because they have to make these decisions. You know, they have to do these. They have to make the hard choices. We've already seen um a version of this, and a shameless plug here. If you go on our website, thecapelesscrusaders.com, we have a blog entry called Cap's Burden. It is a fantastic article written by the Azorian One, and it's about Captain America. And once he finds out that Bucky killed Tony Stark's parents, him holding on to that knowledge and keeping it from him, it's not on par with killing a planet, but we already see these like hard decisions being made. You know, we already see the team making these hard choices in the Civil War and everything that followed. Like they've had to make some tough choices to what they think is right. And in Infinity, that was like an extreme version of that. You know, it's are we doing what needs to be done? But now we have our MCU heroes who are going to come face to face with the children of Thanos, aka the Black Order. Um, and it's 10 years in the making, man. It's I just
Nothing's ever been done like this before.
no.
Not built up like this. Not over a decade.
Yeah.
This is comic book history. This
Yeah.
is film and cinematic
Well,
history. This
and
is
no movie, no one has ever attempted to draw from so many sources about a
right.
story, you know, because Thanos' story and the Infinity Gauntlet story has been told so many times by so many, sometimes by the same people, sometimes by different people. It's That's a lot of comics to boil down and try to put into film. You know, like we
Absolutely.
Thanos Quest, Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Infinity Crusade, everything in between. And there's still stuff they haven't even touched on. Like, you know, we haven't, Adam Warlock still hasn't come into play. We know he's probably going to come into play in the next Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, and who knows what role he's going to be performing. Uh, but yeah, it's just, this is an epic in every sense of the word, you know, and it couldn't be a better story to do that with.
Definitely.
'Cause
Definitely.
the cosmic repercussions of the Infinity Gauntlet. That's that's how you tell a great story, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's like it's like the infinity. I mean, it's a wish box,
Yeah.
cosmic cubes, like it's a wish box type thing, but it's a really great plot device.
Yeah.
But the thing behind it is definitely the characters, the inspiration, what's at stake. Now, it's an interesting question that I've been thinking about that I'm posing is because the world of comics. Like when we think about comics, I think we have a tendency to think like, oh, it's almost infinite.
Yeah.
Infinite, infinity comics. Like where does it end? Does it end? We know that so many have come out, but we also know that the reality is the amount of like really good comics compared to like I don't want to say like oh there's tons of just crappy comics out there. There are,
Yeah.
but there's just a lot of like mediocre kind of comics that
Mhm.
tend to maybe pander to people who are just really into the character. You know what I mean? As
Right.
opposed to maybe being the greatest well written story. There's not a crap ton. Like there's a good amount, but there's not a crap ton of like the best of the best. And Marvel, I mean, everybody now is clamoring for comic book content,
Right.
which I'm happy that these writers like Brian K. Vaughan and Rick Remender and Jonathan oh gosh Hickman Jonathan Hickman, not Jonathan Hickman, the other one, Walking Dead. I
Oh,
always
yeah,
get
yeah.
him and Hickman
Oh,
mixed
now
up.
now I'm blanking on it. We'll come back to it. Oh,
E-
Kirkman, Robert
Everybody
Kirkman.
knows who he is.
Robert Kirkman.
Robert Kirk,
Jeez.
Jonathan Hickman or Robert Kirkman. I always mix up their names, but all of them they're able to like eat and you feed their families very well, take that money, roll it back into the comic book community, so that's good. But the stuff that Marvel is drawing from, I'm glad they have Jason Aaron, and I'm glad that they have Al Ewing, to
Mm.
like write further the cosmic universe, because they're like going through a lot of the good stuff, and I'm curious if you feel this way. Do you think they're gonna kind of go through all the big stuff, the really good stuff soon?
I feel you. So it's like Winter Soldier being one of the best Captain America stories ever written. It's been made
Yep.
into a movie, and it was a great movie.
Right.
Where do we go from here?
Or has been told.
Yeah, I feel you. Oh, that's actually a really good point. I
Yeah. Touched Ragnarok. We've touched,
yeah,
Planet Hulk a little bit,
yeah,
like because they're taking tidbits from like three different stories instead of like capturing so much of one.
right.
Mm,
When it's so, I think they've done at least a well enough job of spreading out the characters. So
hmm
now you have like these great. Every character usually has a great solo story, and so you've at least
Right.
got a couple of those.
hmm
You know, we got a couple Captain Marvel stories that need to come out, a couple Doctor
Right.
Strange stories that need to get told. Um, but as far as like big events, I mean, you've had Ultron. You're gonna have Thanos.
Yeah.
I mean, like Red Skull's already, I think, teleported to the other side of the universe at the end of Captain America. I don't think he's actually dead, but I still think he's just off on the other side of the universe. So
Abs-
it's true. No, I think, and sometimes the comics themselves are kind of not mimicking the movies, but they're kind of following along those stories, not really creating necessarily. Some are, but not necessarily creating these great new events to be told. I mean, we still have Secret Wars. If the Disney Fox deal goes through, we still have Secret Invasion. You know, I think if the interest stays there, I think they've got 20 more years of big events if they build this the way they are now. If they follow the pattern and the I mean, and as long as the writing is still good, I mean, we're still going to keep showing up. You know, we're going to keep going into these theaters, and when we're in our 50s and they're like, "Hey, Secret Invasion, the Skrulls," and you're like, "Yeah, love it. Read it when I was 12. It's going to be awesome." You know, like I'm so I wonder if I wonder more if the film, the comic film bubble will burst before they run out of strong content.
Gotcha.
You know?
Absolutely. No, that I mean makes sense to me. I could see that being the case. I mean, and that's the thing. Like I mean, going backwards anyway. Like if the cutoff was like, okay, well, maybe from like 2013 back, like okay, well, you ran through Infinity Gauntlet. Infinity War
Right.
is. I mean, you're using the Infinity War name, but Infinity War is not a strong enough, like event to make unless they
Yeah.
do a lot of rewriting, which I think that's kind. But as you kind of alluded to, and we've talked about before, and I think that's ultimately where it's going because they're making so many of these movies.
Right.
Like if they're grabbing the cream of the crop, then then they're grabbing stories that are kind of more recent, even using Infinity. They're grabbing stories more recent, but the movies are starting to have comic books follow those.
Right.
And like we've talked about before, these screenplay writers and everything, they're writers too. So I think it might get to the point where it's like, okay, hey, we can still pull some stuff, but they just might have to do a little bit more writing.
Right.
um, and I think it may get to the point where it catches because everybody loves like spectacles, like the Greek gods and Shakespeare. If those stories have survived, then comic book stories are going to survive because it's almost an extension of those things
Right.
with like a modern update. But I think it's going to get to the point where it might catch up, and then they're just kind of both writing at the same time. But
Yeah. Yeah.
gosh, just hang on to Lemire Marvel, hang on to Jason Aaron, hang on to Al Ewing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I was just thinking about it earlier because I was just reading Infinity and I was just reminded how good it is. And it's interesting that it in a lot of ways that was the big like I said, the last big good Marvel event, and now DC is kind of following suit with after Metal. Metal was kind of like this not universe ending event, but universe expanding event. Um, the same way that Infinity was introducing a lot of characters, a lot of new characters. We got the new Star Brand. We get well, I can't remember his name all of a sudden. The dude who teleports, the spear.
Manifold.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. Manifold, like we got a lot of new characters that came out of the Infinity event, and Marvel then kind of backed off on those, and it kind of went back to their main guns, and DC's kind of doing the same thing right now with Metal. It brought all their big characters in the forefront, but it's also introduced all these new characters again. The Immortal Men. Sometimes they brought back some classic ones. Sometimes brand new characters like the Curse of the Brimstone and all these characters that are new to the comics. It's Marvel comics have I'm not going to say they're not as strong as DC, but DC's been on a steady upward slant where Marvel's kind of been like some of their stories are doing great, other ones are kind of like kind of petering out. And DC isn't perfect all the time either. But right now it's an interesting like that parallel of writing the movie wave versus the comic wave. Since DC's not doing that well in the movies, their comics are still having to be strong, and they are. And Marvel's putting out some solid stuff, but nothing like Infinity and Jonathan Hickman. Even 6 years ago. Was that 5 years ago now? It might have been 5 years ago.
What is 2018?
Yeah.
Infinity was 2013,
Okay.
2014.
Yeah. So yeah, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So so yes, I mean it's interesting who's gonna need to pick up their game first, you know, and
Right.
I mean, as long as we can just keep getting. I mean, I don't want the same thing because obviously, like Thanos has been told so many times, and it. I mean, he's still great. He's still a great villain, and giving new writers the capacity and the ability to write him is a good thing. But as long as it doesn't stagnate, as long as nothing gets stagnant, which there's always that worry. I think I think we're gonna have a good time ahead, and we're gonna be able to keep doing lots of podcasts about lots of comic books. in comic
Absolutely. I
movies.
mean, of course, I'm like very excited about, more of the indie stuff that's going to have an opportunity to come out. But yeah, I mean, our big two, um, like they support the rest of the industry.
Right.
The writers they come. You can write for the big two. You can make your money. You can earn your check, and then you go to Image or you
Right.
go to Valiant or
Right.
you go to IDW, and you write your indie story. And so many of those have been getting turned into movies, so that's good. But yeah, we still need DC, we need Marvel to be strong. DC's, yeah, the comics and their sales are delivering. They seem to know what their readers want right now and seem to be delivering it pretty well. I heard some of the stories are starting to get watered down, but
Yeah.
that's why they kind of come back around and okay, hey, let's shuffle things up, let's shuffle some
Right.
writers around. They got good enough talent.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Yeah, like Marvel, I think they're starting to figure it out. And hopefully, yeah, the comics return back to selling quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
And hopefully stuff.
until then, we've got all these old stories that we
Yeah.
can read too.
Oh yeah, we can keep
Good.
going back because, and that's the other thing is, I mean, how many times are trades and classic stories not counted in the figures when it comes to the market? Because we want to see obviously people new people going into comic book stores and supporting everyone, the comic stores themselves, independent creators. We want to see that support. Um, but it's also, we need the movies in some ways to drive people into the stores, and it's still interesting to me that there isn't as much of a direct correlation in big rises in comic book sales with how successful the movies are. But hopefully something like Infinity will, you know get some serious action in the comic book stores, because it's gonna be good. We know it's gonna be good. no
It's
one's gonna
definitely
no one's gonna not
good.
like it.
No, yeah, 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 yeah. Like that's going to be a small, minuscule number.
Yeah.
Like I think we've all been waiting, for the payoffs. The Russos haven't let us down with, all the Captain America movies.
Those dudes are
So
gonna
and
crack
I'm
$10 billion so fast. They're gonna catch Spielberg and leave him in the dust.
yeah, I mean, at this point, if they keep doing these Marvel movies, they sure will.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, we're good. I think yeah, things are only going to continue to get better as we go on. It's just yeah, it is true. We do have to make it a point to remind people to go into comic book stores
Yeah.
because digital is so easy to cop. I know I cop a lot of things digital, and I think that we got to keep the comic book stores going. So yeah, hopefully more and more people we'll visit them. But it's true. Like I think people go to the movies and like, oh, here you get a free issue of Wonder Woman if you go see the Wonder Woman. Well, how do I get it? Well, we're not gonna mail it to you. Just
Yeah.
download it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I just use Comixology, and it's like, okay, now the comic book stores are completely cut out,
Right.
big time. So.
Well, I mean, 5 days till Infinity War hits
I-
theaters. We will be there. We will be talking about it. We'll be seeing it again. If it's anything like Black Panther, Curtis will walk out and walk into another showing and then go the next morning. I don't know if it'll be that impressive. I know it's gonna be good, but I mean, Black Panther you know was world changing
yeah,
for a lot of people, and so I
absolutely.
think Infinity War. I think it's gonna keep it going though. So I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for bringing your massive knowledge of the Infinity comics into the episode tonight. Because I knew we had someone on this podcast who could talk about it. I knew it was you. So it's gonna wrap it up, man. It's gonna
Nice.
it's gonna do it. Nice hour-long conversation about the Infinity War, the Infinity Gauntlet. If you're interested in any of the comics we talked about, you know where you can go? Empire's Comics Vault. Hey, they support the show. They're a local comic book store. Ben has all of these books. He has Pugs and he has Hot Sauce. You can't go wrong
What could you ask
with
for?
all those things. Um,
Breakfast champions.
Breakfast of Champions. Or, I mean, if you're really not into that, but you're like, you know what, guys, I'm really looking for the Marvel vs. Capcom. You know how I might have it? Computer Booter, local computer repair video game, retro video game lounge. They still got that PlayStation VR. They still got those Smash Brother tournaments. You could show up there. Curtis will probably put you in the ground, put you in a body bag, sweep your leg. Who knows? But anyway. So, for anything related to the Capeless Crusaders, you can find it at thecapelesscrusaders.com. That is your number one source for anything Crusader related. If you are live on Twitch right now, thanks for hanging out. You can always, up above, click follow, get notified when we go live. Click subscribe if you want to show us your love in that way. Or if you're watching this on YouTube right now, hello from the past. If that's if you go down below, you can like, comment, subscribe down there. Or if you're listening to this in audio, just keep on trucking, man. You got no idea what I'm pointing at. Who knows? But anyway, thank you for sticking around tonight. My name is David Barry at Dr. Barry on varying social media platforms. I am joined by my brother in arms for the evening. Wait, I'm pointing the wrong direction. There we go.
At Curtis, at Calm Down Warning, at Existential Romeo.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. For the Capeless Crusaders, good night.